Now, what has become very clear ever since Kendrick Lamar took the Super Bowl stage and gave us a moment that no other rapper has ever been able to before, is that out of every single person of the 126 million viewers that were tuned into the Super Bowl and Kendrick's performance, which is a record by the way, is that there is one person who should have turned the TV off, because what has been clear ever since the halftime show happened is that while this entire show was a massive win for Kendrick and hip-hop, as K-Dot got to show the brilliance of not just his own music but rap as a whole on such a major stage. What's also clear is that with Kendrick's performance, which is being even more talked about than the actual game at this point, that it was an even bigger loss for Drake than it was for the Chiefs. And seemingly with everything Kendrick did at this show to remind Drake that he is the biggest loser in hip-hop history, and with every move he pretty much makes at this point, he is only upholding that title further and further, Drake has not taken this well, as during his most recent show, he crashed out all over Kendrick like we have never seen. But now before we go any further into this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And so now with Drake, in all honesty, it's really funny to see that despite running to the other side of the world to hide out from Kendrick Lamar and the Super Bowl, all while he does his strange Anita Max win tour, that despite the fact that Drake is trying to act unbothered and show that he is the same old person he was before this beef by walking out in strange outfits with even stranger shirts like the one we can see him wearing here, that he has not stopped obsessing over what Kendrick is doing and the history that is being made right before our own eyes, because seemingly in response to the moment Kendrick had at the Super Bowl and everything it stood for, which of course one of the many layers in the story Kendrick told focused on handing Drake the biggest L of all time, Drake decided to add to the collection of cringe moments he has been stacking up on this tour alongside his L's, as after trying to remind the world that his career is not over by walking out with smoke on his back and holes in his shirt, Drake's latest performances have gotten even more embarrassing, as with DJs having to make sure the crowd still love Drake by having them sing to him, which is just so ridiculous. The tone already for these shows is beyond pathetic, but even worse, Drake now in the middle of performing during his lazy and desperate Anita Max set did something that Kendrick Lamar does all the time and at a way higher level than he ever will, which is switching up and improvising lyrics on the spot to make the song fit within the exact moment and time you are playing it in. And now when Drake was performing the record from CLB that everyone only remembers because 21 Savage and Project Pat carried him on it, fun fact, if you ever wondered why this record is so out of place on that album and why Drake is trying so hard to be tough, it's because it was originally supposed to be on Savage Mode 2 and Drake begged Metro Boomin to get this song, which originally had 21 and Project Pat on it. And now when Drake was playing this record, where really when you know who he actually is, and the person he has shown himself to be, especially recently, it's just so embarrassing how intimidating he is trying to be, he seemingly switched up a lyric to try and make the claim that the beef between him and Kendrick, and everyone else for that matter, is seemingly still existent. And it's not in the past, and despite what the Super Bowl and every moment we have seen is trying to tell us, that Drake's career is not over and that he hasn't been pulled out of the industry. And I mean, with this, again, while I do get Drake is trying to act like he still has a career and that he still is in the place he was not too long ago, because with this entire weird tour, that is the goal of it all. I mean, no matter what delusion Drake is trying to convince us of, we all know that deep down inside, Drake doesn't even believe in what he is saying himself, because again, while he is doing his weird karaoke performances and is trying to convince the audience that he didn't fall off and that his career has not changed forever by doing things exactly like this lyric change, at the same time as this, we all just saw Kendrick Lamar deliver a performance that was a masterpiece in storytelling, as through all the different things Kendrick was able to do and pull off in this halftime show, beyond the bigger narrative when it came to just laughing at Drake one more time. From wearing the chain, which of course beyond it being a symbol from Kendrick Lamar's PG Lang imprint, was received and was reminding the world of the good old A minor line, and even beyond that, as Drake's real name is Aubrey, in a symbolic way, Kendrick wearing his initial is just symbolizing the fact that he walked away from their beef with his career, and also is kind of a way to taunt Drake back in the same manner he tried to with Kendrick with the jewelry and chains that were from past hip-hop legends. To then beyond this, making fun of the fact that Drake is suing over Not Like Us during this performance, which now has solidified how pathetic Drake really is, and we will have this moment to watch forever, as Kendrick of course put it right within the story of this experience. And even beyond this, to even showing how to properly collaborate with SZA, use her talents, and also remind Drake one more time that SZA is on Team Kendrick and they are both doing way more than he is right now. And of course with Serena Williams making an appearance at this performance, which over everything definitely got to Drake the most, because beyond just the surprise of this, As if you've ever listened to any recent Drake albums, as he is still clearly obsessed with her, and has really just been the worst type of ex you can have when it comes to the way he talks about her and still tries to be a part of her life. It is clear that with Serena siding with Kendrick on the biggest stage possible, this definitely bothered him, as she pretty much told Drake that after all of the petty antics he has been trying to drag her into, that she's just gonna sit and laugh back with Kendrick at the fact that his career is over. And of course, even beyond this, It's Not Like Us played, the crowd loved it, and over 126 million people around the world watched this display go on stage. And again, we have all seen the videos of how this sounded in person and how engaged the crowd was. I mean, there's no other way to put it, but Drake is truly in shambles over this thing. Because even more when Not Like Us as a song or music video was released, more than at the Pop Out, and more than at the Grammys, Kendrick Lamar has solidified the place this record has in all of culture on a higher level than we have ever seen, and as a result of this, beyond just music, hip-hop, and industry circles, Drake has never been on display further for the loss he took in this rap beef and for the problems he is still seemingly trying to create and ruin all the fun everyone has had with this song in the first place. And I mean, for Drake, the fact that you really got called out the way you did at the Super Bowl and with the way the crowd loved it, really, beyond asking to get humiliated at this point this bad with doing such things as pathetic as filing a suit, the fact that now beyond your speculation or seeing just Kendrick and hip-hop fans love this song, you are now witnessing at the highest stage possible that this diss track has become a full-on cultural phenomenon that is really transcended to levels that few other rap songs have ever been able to, because really it is that iconic at this point when we look at all of its impact. I mean, for Drake, OVO, and everybody who is obsessed with this guy, this is all just a horrible reality to face. And now, as Drake also does have a new album with Party Next Door that is releasing in a few days, I mean, at least while he's clearly upset about Kendrick taking yet another W here, he isn't just completely embarrassing himself yet, as at least he has given us the promise of new music. But still, even with a new Drake album at this point, which just based off the snippets we heard, this thing sounds like it's gonna flop because it features the same old boring and uninspired Drake. And really, I guess after all the beef, if anything, Drake now sounds even more bored with what he is doing as a whole. It really seems like because of this Super Bowl performance, which has solidified Drake's L like never before, and because of all of the attention on it, it has put Drake in a position where even more than ever, he is bound to fail, because nobody wants this album that is doing absolutely nothing interesting or new. And I mean, because of this, somehow with a moment that has started off with over 100 million people making fun of Drake, the loss he has taken here has a chance to get a lot worse very soon, because no matter what he says, if the music Drake puts out is failing alongside everything else we can all see, then he really has ran out of options after all in this time, where because of the Super Bowl, Kendrick is dominating the charts as well. Drake just has an even greater chance to fail because he has no momentum and hype whatsoever. Because beyond nobody ever even asking for this album, now with the Super Bowl once again reminding everyone from hip-hop to way beyond why the Drake era is over, and why maybe we should stay away from him as well, it really makes you question what Drake thinks he is going to accomplish with this new record. Because if this whole era he is in right now is trying to convince people that he is not done, and yet we all just saw what went down at the Super Bowl, and we are now witnessing Kendrick Lamar just elevate his entire presence and catalog to new levels, which once again is just giving the best rapper in the world right now a bigger and bigger lead. Overall, things have a chance to get a lot worse for Drake very soon, because between the meltdowns we are already seeing and what's about to happen next, Kendrick's Euphoria lyrics about Drake being paranoid and spiraling really never seem more true in a way, because it seems like with Kendrick literally declaring that the game is over, Drake has ran out of time to make a real comeback, and now with all of the pressure Lamar has on the entire industry and hip-hop, what's clear is that in the following days, while Drake's reaction and sadness from the Super Bowl is starting with these delusional quotes, which of course are hiding just how livid he is, things are only about to get a lot worse. And now, as Drake is known for recording music right until the near release of his records, I'd imagine we are going to see him directly whine about all of the history Kendrick is making on some level. And really, when we do ultimately see this and find out even further how much the Super Bowl has gotten to him, we are only going to understand the full effects and impacts of losing rap's biggest beef on an entire new level, which overall is just going to show us how hip-hop is changing for the better right before our own eyes. And so now with all this said, let me know, what do you think about how Drake has taken getting dissed in all of the ways he has at the Super Bowl so far? How do you think the massive L he took is going to affect the plan and release of his new album? What do you think is going to ultimately be the outcome of this moment? Now I can't wait to hear what you have to say, and if you made it to this point in the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. And now if you want to see how beyond Drake's petty reaction, why Kendrick Lamar really both ended Drake's career and gave one of the greatest performances of all time at what he did at the Super Bowl, check out the suggested video.